Good morning, students. So, we have covered up to multi-threading concepts, and we shall look at this RDBMS SQL JDBC. And under this, we are supposed to cover these topics, starting from introduction to RDBMS, Oracle 11j introduction, the select statement, restricting and sorting data, DDL and DML commands, and then introduction to JDBC, establishing the connection, executing query and processing the results, using of prepared statement and metadata objects, using callable statements and transactions. So these are all the topics which we are supposed to cover under this RDBMS SQL JDBC. So unfortunately today the app is not at all responsive. Even though I am able to open this home page, none of the topic pages are getting opened. I think there might be some server maintenance or too much load happening. So I'm unable to open the theoretical concepts. I'll just give you some important topics which you require for understanding as well as for exam point of view also. I'll just explain you few topics, and then I'll directly open the Eclipse IDE and let us create a small application for demonstrating how do we connect to database, and then how do we create, insert and retrieve the records. All that we are going to see directly. So first of all, you need to understand what a database is meant for. Then only we can look at what is DBMS and what is RDBMS. So the first and foremost definition what you need to be familiar with is the database. So what is a database? So basically database is collecting of logically related data, and this is what the basic definition of database, which is collection of logically related data. And then since we understood what database is going to store, that is it will store logically related data, then what is DBMS? So DBMS is a collection of programs that we use for managing these databases. So DBMS is collection of programs that we use in order to manage these databases. It is an interface between user and the database. That is what you can just understand. So DBMS basically you can just treat it like a interface between the user and the database. And what you gain from using this DBMS? So it avoids redundancy, it assures consistency, it provides integrity, it also gives you security, and it makes sure that the data is independent. Sharing is also made very simplified. So these are all the benefits that you get by going to DBMS. Now, when we have so many benefits with the DBMS itself, again, why do we require to go with RDBMS? And what is RDBMS? So RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. And the benefit that you get with RDBMS is creating multiple tables which are nothing but the relations. Relation itself is a table, nothing but a table. And RDBMS provides very interactive query language. The retrieval of information that is stored in more than one table also can be retrieved using RDBMS. It provides catalog, which is nothing but like a dictionary that can be useful for retrieving information. And the basic terminologies that you need to understand with regard to RDBMS is, what is a relation? So a relation is nothing but a table. Next, what is a tuple? A tuple is nothing but a row. What is an attribute? An attribute is a column. So these are the basic terminologies you need to remember. Relation means table, tuple means row, attribute means column, and next few other terminologies are degree and cardinality. So degree refers to the number of attributes, which is nothing but the columns. Cardinality refers to number of tuples, which is nothing but the rows. So degree means number of attributes, cardinality means number of tuples. So these are all the terminologies you need to remember with regard to RDBMS. And next things you need to be familiar with the RDBMS concepts is keys. So what is a key? There are several keys. I think most of you might have studied. I don't know about EC people, but CSC students, all of you have studied and with the concepts of DBMS subject. But EC students also need to be familiar with different types of keys available with the RDBMS concepts. So before understanding the different types of keys, you need to understand what a key is meant for. So basically, a key is an attribute or a set of attributes whose values uniquely identify each and every entity in an entity set. So this is what the definition of a key. So it's an attribute or set of attributes whose values uniquely identify each entity in an entity set. And again you have different types of keys like primary key, candidate key, super key, foreign key, alternate key, secondary key. Like this you have different keys. So you need to understand the use of each and every key, and the mostly used keys during our application programming are, the very most and frequently used key is primary key, and next to primary key, which key we will be using is the foreign key. So basically primary key is used to uniquely identify a table. So you are going to decide which particular attribute you need to have it to identify the records in a table. So for that reason you will be using primary key, and it is used to uniquely identify the table. Like that you have other keys also. Anyway, let's cover the theoretical concepts in tomorrow's session, because the app is not at all responding, so that's the reason I could not open any of the pages and keep. But I'm just giving you the overview about this particular RDBMS concepts, and directly I'll show how do we connect our application with the database. And the database which we are going to use is the Oracle. You can use any database, it can be MySQL or some other database also, but as per the training which we are going through is for Wipro. Wipro is using the Oracle database. If it is Virtusa, it is MySQL database. Some other company, they might be using their own databases. But as part of today's session, I am going to show you how do we connect to Oracle database and how do we process the results. All that I will show you. And the commands which you need to be familiar with are DDL commands, DML commands, DCL commands, TCL commands. So these are the 4 types of commands you need to be familiar with RDBMS concepts. So DDL stands for Data Definition Language, DML stands for Data Manipulation Language commands, DCL stands for Data Control Language commands, TCL stands for Transaction Control Language commands. And these are the four types of commands that we have in RDBMS. And what commands come under DDL commands are, that is data definition language, create, that is used to create a table, drop, in order to drop the table, alter, in order to alter the structure, truncate, in order to remove the records, rename, in order to rename, and comment. These are the different commands that we have under DDL. And commands that come under DML, that is data manipulation language, insert, update, delete, merge, and call. These are the commands that come under DML. And DCL commands, that is data control language, commit and rollback. So commit is meant for whatever the operations that you have performed, you want to make sure that they all are permanent. So for that you will be using commit, and rollback is used in order to roll back the operations that you have done before going for commit. So that's what commit and rollback are meant for. Next, TCL commands, transaction control language. There you have grant and revoke. So grant is in order to grant permission, revoke in order to take away that permission that was given. And next, important points that need to be remembered are the data types that we use in this particular RDBMS concepts. So you will be using long, blob, which stands for binary data, clob, which stands for character data, B file, which stands for binary data stored in an external file. So these are the things that need to be remembered. And next important point is, whatever the table or column names that you are going to use for your application purpose, you need to make sure that whatever the table name or column name you are choosing, it must begin with English letter and it should not exceed 30 characters. This is the important point you need to be remembered. So whatever the table name or column name that you are choosing, it should be starting with English letter and it should not exceed 30 characters long. So this is the point you just need to remember. And SQL stands for structured query language. So you will be having all different kinds of queries available that you can use it for creation, alterations, modifications, I mean the updations, insertions, deletions, all these queries you will be having. And Java provides java.sql package, which contains all the set of interfaces that specified to the JDBC API. And JDBC itself stands for Java Database Connectivity, which itself is an API that lets programmers to write Java programs in order to connect to any database. So JDBC itself is an API which helps programmers to write Java programs to connect to any database. And SQL package contains set of interfaces that specify the JDBC API. And in order to perform this JDBC programming, you just need to remember 5 steps. So step 1 is loading the driver class. Step 2 is creating the connection object. Step 3 is creating statement or prepared statement object. Step 4 is executing query and processing results using result set object. And step 5 is closing statements and connections. Whatever the statements and connections that you have opened, you just need to close all of them. So these are the 5 steps you just need to remember in order to perform JDBC programming, that is Java Database Connectivity Programming. I just repeat all the 5 steps. Step 1, loading the driver class. Step 2, creating the connection object. Step 3, creating the statement or prepared statement object in order to execute your queries. Step 4 is executing the queries and processing the results using result set object. And lastly, step 5 is closing of all the connections and statements. So this is the brief theory you just need to remember before getting to actual coding. So now what we do is we will create a small program, and then we perform all these 5 steps, and then we will see how we are able to get connected to the Oracle database. And the database which you need to install as part of this Wipro training is Oracle 11g. So I have already installed in my machine. So you can download it from the official website itself. So you can just go to the official website, and here you can see 2 links. You can download both these and make sure that so it is 18 actually. You can just go for 11g itself. I have installed 11g itself. Yeah, here it is. So you can just see, this is how you can just type it in the search bar, and then you can see for the Oracle database 11g. And here, after downloading both these zip files, you can see what are the things you need to perform. You just need to unzip both the files into the same directory, and then you need to run the, I'll just show you. Here it is. So in Oracle 11g, you will be getting like this 2 zips. You just extract them, and you will be getting 2 folders like this, database 1 and database 2. So from database 2, you just need to copy all these folders from components. You just need to copy all these folders from components and go to database 1, and then there you are going to paste again those components here. I'm just telling how you need to install Oracle 11g after downloading. So you will be downloading both the zips from the official website itself. After downloading, what you just need to do, I'm just telling, because it's my responsibility to make you understand. So after you download, you will be getting 2 zips like this, and after you extract, here you can see database 1 and database 2 folders. What I am telling is how you need to install is just open database 2, stage, components, and copy these 4 folders, and these are from the second zip file. So copy these 4 folders, open database 1, again there you will be finding stage, and there again you will be finding components. In this components folder, you need to paste those 4 folders which you have taken from database to stage components. After that, again you come back to database 1, and then you will be clicking on setup, and it will take some time for getting installed. So this is how you will be setting up Oracle 11g database in your local machines. And while you are going to install, it will be asking you for password. So remember whatever the password you are using there, that we require for establishing the connections. So I have used tiger as my password because that's the password which we have been using since many years. I think most of you might have remembered the term Scott Tiger. So for connecting to SQL, mostly we will be using the username Scott and password Tiger. So, but with Oracle 11G, this Scott account will be locked. They might have locked it for some security reasons. Don't know why, but by default, this Scott account is locked. I'll just tell you how you can unlock that particular account. I'll show you the step of unlocking the Scott account, so that if you want to use the same account, you can just use the Scott account itself. But the default account that you can use is system, system. System is the default account that you can use. And during the installation process, whenever it asks you to enter the password and the confirm password, make sure that whatever the password you are giving, you will be able to remember that password, because that password is required for getting connected to your Oracle. That means from your front end Java, in order to connect to the back end Oracle, you require that password. So for that reason, I am telling this many times. So during the installation process, whenever it asks you to enter the password and retype the confirm password, remember that password. Now, let me use the magnifier. What we do is, instead of using this existing project, let's create a new project so that we don't get confused for doing JDBC programs. So I'm just naming it as JDBC demo, and then click on finish. So the project got created. Now in this, let's create a program. JDBC demo, and let me also add the main method. Click on finish. So remove this to do stub code, and now I hope you remembered the 5 steps. Let's create one by one step and load the things and get connected. So step 1 is, first thing what we need to do is we need to load the driver class. So how do you load the driver class is, and there are 4 types of JDBC drivers basically, but as per industry standards, we are directly using the class 4 driver itself. Type 4 driver. Type 4 driver is the thin driver. So I'm using a thin driver for my application also. So I'm just using step 1. So step 1 is loading class driver. So class dot for name, and you need to give the driver which you wanted to load. That is in string you need to give. So Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot Oracle driver. So this is the syntax for so this particular driver will be declared as throws SQL exception. For that reason, it is asking you to surround with try catch or add throws declaration. So let's surround it with try catch, so that the remaining kinds of exceptions also will be handled. So instead of this class not found exception, what I'll be doing is I'll directly use this catch exception, so that all kinds of exceptions, because as we add further steps, there will be other types of exceptions also. For that reason, directly I'm using exception itself, because for this particular class dot for name, if class is not found, class not found exception. When I am using other statements, I will be getting SQL exceptions. For that reason, rather than writing multiple catch blocks, I have just written one single exception itself. So we are done with step 1, that is loading of the driver is over. Now we need to go ahead with step 2. What is step 2? Creating connection object. So connection con, any variable you can give. So driver manager dot you are going to use, and here you have to specify the complete URL. So the URL what I am using, you just carefully observe. So first we are providing the API. The first whatever JDBC I have given now, that is API, and colon Oracle, that is the database what I am going to use is the Oracle, and then colon the type of driver which I am going to use. I already said I am using thin driver, JDBC colon Oracle colon thin colon, that is the type of which type driver. So type 4 is thin driver colon, and then the IP address. Instead of IP address, when you are running it from the local machine, you can just use localhost, and then colon you have to specify the port number where your Oracle is being run. So my Oracle port is running on 1521 colon, and then the service name you need to mention. So the service name for my database is ORCL. So this is what you need to specify as part of the first parameter. So within this driver manager dot get connection, so here one thing what I will do is, instead of loading one by one, since I have already said you, so I am using star, and here you have to specify your username and passwords. After URL you have to specify username and passwords. So I am using Scott and Tiger. So it's fine, things are fine, there's no error. So once again, so step 1, loading the class name, sorry, the driver name. So Oracle driver I am going to use, that's what here you can see, oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle driver. Step 2 is creating connection object. So connection con equal to driver manager dot get connection, and then here you have to pass 3 parameters. The first one is the URL, the other 2 parameters are username and password, and this URL you can just understand what they are. Here JDBC, it is the API, Oracle is the database, and thin is the type 4 driver. And here you have to mention, if it is in the local machine you can use @localhost, or you can mention even the IP address, and next the port number where your this Oracle database is running, and then the service name, and for most of them it might be XE. Just make sure that you are giving the service name which you remember, and then the username and password. I am using the Scott and Tiger account. I have already unlocked this Scott account in my machine. I will show you how to do that. And now there might be a question, what if you don't remember this port? I mean, when you are running you might be getting port conflict or service name not exist, something like that. So how do you find what is your port number and what is your service name? So let me just show you. So what you can do is, you can just go to your Oracle installed folder. So my Oracle installation folder is E drive. So here you can see E drive, and here I am opening this app folder. There you can see again user folder. I hope it's visible, otherwise let me use magnifier. So here you can see my Oracle installation folder is E drive. So I'm just opening this app folder. In this app folder you can see user folder. In this user folder you can see product folder. So in this product folder you can see your Oracle version. So I have installed 11, I said no, so 11.2.0, and here you can see DB home. So you can just go here to DB home, and there you can find a folder with the name network. So you can just open this network folder, and in this network you can see a folder admin, and if you go to this admin, there you can see a type or a file. There is a type or a file with the TNS names. You can see TNS names or a file. And why I am saying all this is to make you understand to see your port number and service name. For that I am just showing you this. So how to go to this particular path I am just showing you. And then if you edit this, don't change anything. Here you can see service name ORCL. So here you can see service name ORCL and port number, here you can see 1521. So I am just showing you how you can find your service name and port number. Where you can find your service name and port number, for that I am showing you this. So my particular machine Oracle database service name is ORCL and port number is 1521. So this is how you can even check your particular service name and port numbers. So you will be getting it from the admin folder of network folder, from the home. From the home network folder, admin folder, you can see tnsnames.ora, and if you open that you will see your service names and port numbers. So we are done with step 2 also. Now let's go to step 3. So what is step 3? We are supposed to create the statement object or prepared statement object. So what the difference is, prepared statement is the interface which is child to statement. Prepared statement is the interface which is child to statement. And in real time also, as per industry standards, it's always recommended to use prepared statement over statement. So always use prepared statement than compared to statement, because as I mentioned, prepared statement will improve the overall performance of your application as the query is compiled only once. And this particular prepared statement will have methods that you can perform various DDL operations, and DDL operations are the most which we'll be using in our applications. So for that reason I recommend even you people to use the prepared statement than compared to statement. So now I am going to use prepared statement. So prepared statement s equal to, so con is my, here you can see con dot prepare statement, and now what we do is we shall execute a query in order to create a table. So create table. Okay, let me use a table name. Okay, let's create student, and then id, Here the data type is a number and 3 represents maximum 3 digits, comma, name, varchar 2 of 20. I hope things are fine. Here create table. Table name is student, and here I am giving ID, that is student roll number or ID, whatever you want. And here I am just saying number type. It's a number type which will be not exceeding 3 digits. That's what I am just giving. If you give 10, it will not be exceeding 10 digits. That's what you have to understand. And name, I am saying it's of variables or characters, and 20, it will not exceed 20 characters. So this is what I have mentioned. And now you have given this particular prepare statement, and then in this you have passed your query, that is of creating a table. And now what you need to do is you need to invoke a method called execute update. You need to invoke a method called execute update. So if you invoke this method, then whatever the query you have given, it will be updated. It will be updated. Updated to where? The database which you are connecting to. If you invoke this execute update method, it will be updated to the database to which you are connecting to. And the database which I am connecting to is the Oracle database under Scott account. So under Scott account, this particular table will be created, and with this execute update, it's going to update. And in order to see if it got updated, so let me just display a simple message: table created. And next we need to, so what I'll do is, let me put this prepared statement yes above the main, because I'll be requiring this prepared statement continuously, so that here you can just remove it. And now okay, now what we'll do is, after table got created, now we shall perform insertion. So I hope you remember the syntax for inserting. So it should be in double quotes: insert into table name values. And then what you can do is, you can just give question marks like this. Why am I giving question marks like this is because I am going to add values dynamically. I am going to add values dynamically. For that reason, we are using question marks like this. So I am just saying insert into student values, and expected values are 2, that is the ID and the name. So I am just saying question marks. And how do you set the values? You can set it dynamically. That means you can read values from the user, and then you can even add them. So for reading values from user, you can use the scanner class, and then you can read values from the user, and then those values you can just add it to the table. So how I'm going to do that is, so you will just write s dot, so you have inbuilt methods. So here you can see set int of here you can see set int method. So int parameter index, and then the value. So here I'm just giving 1 because this indexing is within the table, not your arrays. If it is your arrays, you can use from 0 onwards, but with respect to table, you are going to use the first column index as 1, second column index as 2, third column index as 3. So nth column index will be n. Here I am creating a table with 2 columns. The first column is id, which is of integer type. The second column is name, which is of string type. So that's the reason here I am using the method setInt of index, that is the table index. So column 1 and value you can give integer, and this is what I said. Right now I am giving the value directly. I am just giving you as assignment task that you read from the user by using scanner class and pass that variable here. Instead of giving directly value, what I'm just asking you to do is read it from the user and pass it to this setInt method. So I think you can easily do that. So you can just use scanner, and then you can use integer I equal to s dot nextInt, where s is the scanner object, something like that, and that particular I you can write here. I hope you are following. So what I'm saying is, right now I'm inserting directly into the table. I'm just saying you read it from the user and pass that variable here, I'm saying. So how you will be doing is create a scanner object, that is scanner sc equal to new scanner of system.in, and then int I equal to sc.nextInt, and then here you pass that s.setInt of 1 comma I. Similarly, you can even read sc.next, that is string s1 equal to sc.next, where you will be reading name from the user and then pass it to this again. So you can find a method setString. Here you can see setString. I'm using setString method, and it is in second column, and that value you have to give. Right now I'm giving directly. So this is how you can just give it. And as I said, after executing any query, you need to invoke the method update. You just need to invoke the method update, and then again, since all these things are directly happening in the table, for us to understand, I'm just using a print statement. So I'm just using a print statement like this. Now this is what my step 3 is. So I have just created the prepare statement object, and I have executed the query, and now let us just close this. So here you can see s dot close, that is I'm closing the statement object, and con dot close. So let us first see if it is running. If it runs, what you just need to see is we are not displaying that record, we are just printing some simple messages. So it is giving error, class not found exception. Okay. So I think earlier once I have shown you, but this time I missed it. So what you need to do is, when you are dealing with JDBC, you need to add the jar file. You need to add the jar. So I haven't done that. Once again I missed it. So what you need to do for adding the jar, so you just need to right click on your project. I have shown you once earlier. Once again you can see, right click on project, and then go to properties, and then you can find build path, and in that build path you can go to the libraries, and there it is showing only JRE is being added, but you need to add the jar file, that is OJDBC jar. So go to add external jar and search for your jar. Here it's already there. Once again I'll show you from the start. So go to your Oracle installation folder. I have already said I have installed my Oracle in E drive. So app folder, user, and then there you can see product folder, again your version, again your home, and there you can see a folder with the name JDBC. Open that JDBC folder. There you can see LIB folder, and there you can see different jars. You can choose any of the jar, OJDBC jar. This jar is compulsory required because it is containing the classes that are required for this connection. So I'm just choosing OJDBC 6 and click on open. Now you can see along with JRE you are also attaching this OJDBC 6.jar, and then after this click on apply and close, and once you do that, here you can see a new folder gets added to your project, referenced libraries, and in this referenced libraries you can see this jar getting added. So if you are adding JUnit also, that also gets added here only. So all the external jars that will be added by you manually will be added under this referenced libraries, and if you expand this jar you can see all this related here. Here you can see oracle dot jdbc dot, here you can see like this, you can see. And whatever the thing we are using, it is from here. The class name which we are using now, it is from here, this package oracle dot jdbc dot driver. So here you can see, if you expand that you can see these are all the classes that are available in this oracle dot jdbc dot driver, and here you can see which one we are using, this one we are using. So that is the reason it have given me the exception, since I haven't added this jar. It said class not found exception because I said class dot for name oracle dot jdbc dot driver dot oracle driver na, and I haven't added this jar file. That's the reason it have given me exception. Now what I have done, I have added this jar file, and here you can see it is present now. Oracle driver class is present, and if after adding jar also you are getting any exception, means you need to understand that that particular jar got corrupted due to viruses in your system. So this is how you just need to understand how you will be adding the jar. And now once again let's run this and see. Still it is giving missing right parenthesis somewhere, line number 10. ID number 3. Okay, here I think it's not matching. This is closing for this, and here you need to have one more closing. Yeah. Anyway, whatever mistakes we make, anyway, the console will give you all that information. So I missed one parenthesis there. Okay, so table created, insertion success. So that means it have processed all the statements. As I said, why I have written this system.out.println statements is only to see whether things go perfect here or not. So here you can see compulsory after writing the prepare statement, you need to invoke execute update, because you are writing the query and you want that query to be updated. So for that reason we have to invoke execute update. And now table got created, and After that, I have just closed my statement and connection objects, which is my step 5. Now, what we will do is, we will even display this particular record here, and for that we require which query? Select query. So s equal to con dot, again prepare statement, sorry, and here I am going to write select star from student, which is my table name, and for getting this results, you will be using result set object, which I said you as part of step 4. So result set rs equal to s dot, here you can see the very first thing itself. For result set, you will be invoking the method execute query. So execute query method, we use it exclusively for result set. So I'm using this execute query semicolon, and in order to retrieve, we will be using a while loop, and within while loop what you will be using is while rs dot next. Here you can see the next method returns boolean. That means if it has next field, I mean next attribute, then this next method will be returned. And then within this system.out.println rs dot. So just like how you have set the values using setInt, similarly here we have methods to get, like here getInt, you can see getInt of column index, that is my first column is integer, that is id, so I am using getInt method, and then plus, let's use a separator hyphen, any separator you can use, plus second column also I want to display, so rs dot, I know that it is of string type, so I'll search for the method get string. Here you can see get string column index, so get string of, if you know the value itself, I mean the column name itself, that also you can give in double quotes, it's up to you which one you prefer, but using column indexes is very simple. So now if I run this code, I'll be getting one error. Any guess why you will be getting error? Because here the table is already created. The table is already created because in the earlier execution you have got the messages table created insertion success now. So that's the reason you will be getting an error. Let me run it and show you, but compulsory you will be getting an error. See, because second time we are running it. As expected, name is already used by an existing object. So what we do is, let's put these two statements in comments. And now once again, let's see if it runs. Yeah, it's working, and I hope you can understand why it have given in 2 times, because in the first time when I have executed, that particular record got inserted. Now when I am running second time, again the same record is getting inserted, because we haven't set any restrictions, that is I haven't used any keys now. That's the reason again this second time also this particular roll number 1 and Krishna are getting inserted into the table, and that's why you are getting displayed twice, and the roll number separator which I have used in the print, and then the name. So this is how you are getting your results processed. So that's the reason, than compared to statement, it's always recommended to go for prepared statement. As per industry standards, all of them will be recommending you to go for prepared statement. As I said, using prepared statement improves the overall application performance because the query is going to be compiled only once, irrespective of number of times your application is being run. So that's the advantage you get. And now let me show you with my SQL. So you can just search in your search bar, Windows search SQL plus, and you will be getting it. And here I'm giving Scott Tiger. Okay, here in order to get all the tables that are there in this account, you can just use select star from tab. So you can see by default there will be 4 tables. That is the first 4 what you can see: bonus, department, employee, salary grade. Those 4 tables will be there by default in this Scott account. Only the student table which we created got added here. And now if I want to run my JDBC program which I have created in the Eclipse IDE, once again what you have to do is you just need to delete this by using this command drop table name. By using this command you can just delete this. So table dropped. And now okay, let me use the up arrow. You can just use the up arrow to navigate. So select star from tab. So you can see the table got deleted, but still you can see some bin. So even though you delete it by using drop, table gets deleted. You can do it with your applications, but still it will be there in the recycle bin. That's the reason you can see their bin. So anything that's there in the bin you can see it like this. And if you don't know after a period of time what are the table names that were still in the bin, like if it is on the desktop recycle bin means you can just open it and see all the file names. Similarly here also what you can do is you can just do like this, select star from, you can just give like this recycle bin, and if you use this command it will give you what are the tables that you have in the recycle bin. Here you can see the table name student is there in the recycle bin. That's what it is giving, and it is consuming some space. So in order to remove it even from the recycle bin, you just use the command purge. Purge is the command you will be using. So if I use like this purge command, then it will be even deleted from the recycle bin also. Now you can see select star from tab. There you can see. Now you don't see that. So basically when you are clicking the command drop, it will be there in the recycle bin, and when it is there in the recycle bin it will just show with the bin ID number, but it won't show you the table name. But after few months or years you don't even remember the name of the table. In that case what you can just do is, as I have shown you, you can just use this select star from recycle bin, and there you can find the names of the tables, and then you can use the commands like this purge table and that particular table name, so that it will even be removed from the recycle bin. Now what you will be able to do is, now you can just here, now what I can do is I can just remove these comments and happily execute it, because I have removed this table anyway. So now the record gets displayed only once. So you can see table created, insertion success, and record retrieved. This is happening because I have removed and run na. That's the reason. I have dropped the table and then I have executed na. That's the reason you can see it here. And now what are the things you just need to remember here is, so as I said, by default you will be having only one account. So right now I have just switched to my system account. So this is how you will be connecting directly. You don't need to exit this. Directly you can use the command conn space username / password, and remember this password is the one which you are going to give at the time of installation. Again I'm saying, because at the time of installation you are going to give this password. So tiger is the password which I have given. So you might be giving your own name or any other name. Remember that this particular name is the one which you are going to provide it at the time of creation. So here what you are going to do, here you can see this particular system account will be having so many tables. Here you can see system account have 177 tables. Inbuilt tables are 177 in system account, whereas in Scott account there are only 4 tables. And even the thing what I asked you to remember is Scott account is locked for you. I am directly using it because I have installed this Oracle long back ago and I have already unlocked it. So that's the reason I am able to use this. But how do you unlock this particular Scott account in your machines? So for that, what you will be doing is you just open SQL like this, and then after giving this system and tiger you will be able to get to the SQL prompt. After that you have to invoke a command like this: alter user Scott account unlock. I hope you are able to see the things properly. So you need to give this command after logging into system account, because system account directly you will be able to log in with the password that you provided at the time of installation. So after you log into system account, at the SQL prompt you have to type this command, that is alter space user space account name Scott space account space unlock semicolon. If you give this, automatically it will be unlocked. It will be unlocked. And after that you can just give conn space Scott / password which you have given at the time of installation and press enter. And for me I'm getting it directly connected, but for you, you might be getting for the very first time. For the very first time when you are doing unlock, it will be asking you the password is expired, do you like to set new password, and it will ask you password to be entered twice, that is the first time password and confirmation password. Twice you are going to give the same password, and then you can use this statement conn Scott / password. So this is how you will be unlocking the Scott account from your Oracle database. And once you unlock it, you are free to connect to it by using this conn space Scott / with the password you are setting it, and then you are able to see all the tables in it. Here you can see student table, again it got created because I have run the Eclipse program now. Since I have run the Eclipse program, once again it just got there. So if I just run it from here also, you can see the same thing. So there's only one record that I have just inserted, one and Krishna. And the assignment what I have given to you for today is, you just insert records by reading values from the user. By reading values from the user. And even I want you to run a for loop for 10 times or 5 times, whatever you wish, and then read this number and name, and then in the for loop you start adding them. And after you add, don't forget to invoke the method execute update, because unless you invoke the execute update method, the records will not get added. And use result set statement. And in the result set statement also, what you have to do is, here in the result set statement also, you must use while loop. And in the while loop, as I said, it's compulsory you use the braces. Right now I haven't used braces because I'm using only one particular displaying. So use this while, and then you display the things, and then after you get the things shown in your console, then you can just close the connections and statements. All the things you can just do that. So I hope everyone understood how to execute JDBC programs. So first thing what you do is, if you already have this Oracle database, then fine. Otherwise, as I have shown you, open your browser, type in the Google search bar Oracle 11g download, and as I have shown you, download both the zips and extract them, and then you will be able to see database 1 and database 2, and then from database 2 you will be opening that folder up to the components, and then you will be copying all the 4 folders in the database 2 folder, and again copy the 4 folders in the components of database 1 folder, and then in the database 1 click on setup in order to install the Oracle setup in your machine. And during the installation process you will be asked for the password, and remember that this password is for the system account, and then you can proceed with the installation. And once the installation is successful, you can just open the SQL Plus, and then you can check whether you are getting connected or not. Just as I have shown, you can just give in the Windows search SQL Plus and open it, give the username as system and password which you have provided at the time of installation. And once you get connected, if you want to unlock the Scott account, as I have just shown you, you can use the command alter user Scott account unlock, and then you can just connect to Scott by using the command conn space Scott / the password which you have provided at the time of installation, and press enter. And if the password is expired, then it will automatically ask you to provide new password. You can give the same password again, or you can choose the new password for the Scott account. And for executing JDBC application, you need to make sure that you import the SQL package, and then you have to follow these 5 steps, where step 1 is loading the driver class. So you have to write this statement class.forName oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle_driver. So Oracle driver is your class. And then step 2 is creating the connection object. So this is how you create the connection object. So you will be getting the connection object by invoking the driver manager.getConnection, and to that you will be passing 3 parameters. The first parameter comprises the URL, the other 2 parameters comprises the username and passwords. So here JDBC is the API, Oracle is the database, TIN is the type for driver. Here you have to specify either @localhost if you are running in your machine, or you have to provide the @localhost as it is, and then the port number, and then the service name. I hope you remember how to know your port number and service name. So you can just go to the DB home of your Oracle installation, and then there you can find network folder. In that network folder you will be seeing admin folder. In that admin folder you can see TNS or that file. If you edit it, you can see the service name and then the port number. So there you can find that port number and service names, and that's step 2 of creating connection object. And step 3 is creating prepared statement or statement object. And as I said, as per the industry standards, it's recommended to use the prepared statement as it improves the performance of the overall application than compared to use of statement. And then you can write your queries inside this prepare statement method, and this prepare statement method is from the connection, it's not from the statement. This prepare statement method returns the prepared statement object. So prepare statement method is from the connection which returns the prepared statement object, and execute update will update the query to the database to which you are connected to. And then result set, you will be using it over execute query method which you are going to get the results. And this is how you will be using the setInt, setString methods in order to insert into the table. Similarly, you will be using getInt and getString method in order to get the values from the table. And this is what step 4 is all about. And lastly, you are going to close all the statements and connection objects that you created. So the simple task what I am giving you is, I want you people to use this scanner and read this to a variable and read the name also to a variable and run it in a for loop and insert multiple times, multiple records, and then you retrieve all the records. This is the simple assignment I am giving you. And I hope even you remember how to remove the table even from the recycle bin after you drop using SQL plus by using purge table name. You can even delete the table from the recycle bin also. So I hope everyone understood whatever I have covered today. Theoretically, as I mentioned, today none of the pages got opened from this PBL lab. That's the reason I could not cover any of the theoretical part. But I have given you the glimpse of this RDBMS, and I have shown you how to connect to database. So tomorrow we are going to discuss few more theoretical concepts, and I'll tell how you will be given project. That is the final project which you have to perform in 3 hours, I said now. That is in the final assessment. So with regard to that project, I'll tell what are the things you need to remember in tomorrow's session. So what you will be asked with regard to the final project and what you need to remember there, I'll just show you some other things that are required, because compulsory everyone must and should do this project as part of your final assessment, which is related to JDBC. So with regard to that, I'll just give you few more tips in tomorrow's session. I hope everyone understood today's class, and if any queries, you can post it in the comment section, else you can give your roll numbers for attendance purpose. Any queries, post it in the comment section with regard to today's class. If no queries, give your roll numbers for attendance. So I can see only one query. What is a driver? So basically, a driver is nothing but a software component. Apart from that, nothing else. So a driver itself is nothing but a software component that will let the front-end Java application to interact with the back-end database. So that's what driver is all about. I hope whoever have posted that query, they got their answer. So a driver is nothing but a software component that acts like an interface. You can understand, like from for the front-end Java application to the back-end database. So that's what a driver is all about. So for that, we are using the JDBC driver, which is advancement to the earlier ODBC driver. So that's the only query, and I hope all of you have posted your roll numbers for attendance. So let's stop today's session here and meet for tomorrow's session to continue with the same JDBC and tips for end assessment project. Thank you and bye.